Yeah, I was afraid of the ball growing up, so it's just kind of a meaningful part of my life. But that's who I am. Like, I can't turn it off. If somebody needs money for their kid to play baseball, like, I don't even think about it. Take my money. During the day, though, when my kiddo's at work, I run a mindset gym. We're train your brain how to think at a higher level. We do this with a series of exercises called mindset push-ups. You can actually feel your brain making new connections while it's happening. And as a result of this, most entrepreneurs usually double their income.
Okay. I'm not sure why everything stopped. Are you still there, Jarrod?
I am still here.
Okay, you can train your brain to think, and that's all I heard. Sorry. There was an echo, and I had to get rid of something.
Um, yeah, I can say that again, or tell a different story, or juggle.
Just the last part, the last part, it cut off for me. So, anyways, yes, that's great. Train your brain, and I love that the pre-interview that we did. I loved what you said. Retraining. Retraining your brain. That's awesome. And so it says here that you're also a four times TEDx speaker as well. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I have way too many TEDx talks. Yes, ma'am.
There's no such thing as too many TEDx talks. That is what people out there do, right? Definitely out there speaking on the stages. That's awesome. And so, what made you decide to be part of the Mindset Performance?
Uh, I was in classical music for about 20 years, principal viola with the South Carolina Philharmonic. Some people don't know this about music, but when you're engaged in music, whether you're clapping your hands to the radio or singing along while you're driving down the road, in that moment of time that you're co-creating, you're using more different parts of your brain than any other time. And this is a sharp contrast to, say, meditation or athletic performance, where the better your body is performing athletically, the less of your brain you're using. This doesn't mean one is better than the other, but it does mean if you could access more of your brain on demand, that would change the way that you solve problems and overcome obstacles. So when I was in classical music, I was teaching people how to access different parts of their brain on demand. And then about 15 years ago, I came across the work of Robert Hartman and his Nobel nominated mind scan, that algorithm that he was using. This was back in the 1950s. And from that point on, it was full time in the mindset gym. So we're training you how to think at a higher level. We physically are putting clarity and confidence inside your body. And I mean physically because you can viscerally feel it. And by doing that, we're able to access different thinking patterns. And this is why entrepreneurs get out of the weeds so quickly and scale their business to what it could really be.
Awesome. And so, what three things did you have to overcome to get to where you're at in your business today?
In my business today, I had to come to terms with my own blind spots. Every thinking pattern has a blind spot. There's no perfect thinking pattern. They serve us in different ways, but I had some thinking patterns, and some of those blind spots included the emotional experience that other people had while we were communicating. That was something I wasn't even aware of. And by going to work on that, it totally changed my business. In the beginning, I used to be super frustrated because nobody would refer me. They would maybe say I did a great job and I was the best, but they wouldn't actually refer me. And that's kind of the litmus test. People vote with their wallet, right?
Right.
And one of the blind spots was just that when I was communicating with them, I wasn't aware of how they were feeling. So by going through the exercises, taking myself through them, the mindset push-ups, it activated those networks in my head. I became more aware of the other person's felt experience. And then they began to open doors for me. They began to refer me to higher paying opportunities. It was kind of like adding a little bit of gas and a little bit of grease inside the engine. Things really started purring along.
Right. I love that. When you said switching to being able to associate with somebody else. I think a lot of us just listen to speak instead of listen to understand. And that's great that you were able to shift those gears and find out what your client really wanted. So that's awesome.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
is that's awesome. And what three things would you say that you help your clients overcome?
I don't know about overcome so much as it is remove, right? Anytime you keep hitting the same obstacles, don't have enough time, don't have enough money, you're doing everything you know to do. Like you're not a slacker, you're working hard. And so we know that working harder isn't going to make a difference, or it would have by now. And you're doing everything that makes sense. Like you're no dummy. This is rational stuff that you're doing. And that tells us that working smarter isn't going to make a difference, or it would have by now. The
Right.
problem is the thing that's actually going to transform your situation will at first seem like a bad idea, or you'd already be doing it. And your brain can't think of what it can't think of. So in the Mindset Gym, we are activating new networks in your head. That's one of the main things we do. And those new networks are what cause you to start solving problems from a place of clarity and confidence. It changes the solutions your brain comes up with. It changes the rate that your business scales. That's one thing we do. We activate those new networks. Another thing we do is we remove the head trash, we call it. We remove the beliefs. We literally delete them. You see it happen before your eyes. We've got a way to measure that, and you also feel it viscerally while it's happening. These things that I never have enough time, I never have enough money, I can't get the right support, nobody understands me, it's too hard for me to explain. Whatever those frustrations and beliefs are, yes, up until this point, you have had persistent life experiences to validate those. But when they are removed, you start to find a completely different life experience. Suddenly, it's like, wait a minute. How come there's always a little bit of money left over? Why is there always more time on my schedule? Where did these people come from that are helping me and pulling the stuff off my plate? It's a completely different life experience just because we removed the head trash. The other thing we do is by training you and training your brain how to operate in these ways and think at higher levels, you effectively start showing up like the superhero version of you more often. There's been a time in your life where you were a superhero, and then the rest of your life, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot, self sabotage, doing things that are messing it up, and you can't seem to stop. Well, we've changed that. So you can't seem to stop being a superhero. You're telling the whole truth without sugarcoating it. You're saying no. You're willing to delegate. You're asking for help. You're asking for what you really want, not what you think you can get. You're renegotiating if you have to. You're just operating at this level. You're planning farther ahead. And because of that, your business just keeps accelerating. Those are the three things we mostly do at the gym.
I love that. Being your own superhero, showing up, being your own superhero. That is awesome. That's definitely a visualization, that I will be having from that takeaway. So that's awesome. And removing the head trash. And a lot of us, this is episode 55, and I believe I've asked every entrepreneur that's come on here, what have you had to overcome to get to where you're at? And every day, every single one of them says the head trash. So absolutely, and that's from, high performance coaches like yourself, and coaches that we've had on here that have coached different professional athletes. So it's the same each time. And I think we're our own worst enemy for sure.
Yeah. The work that we do at the Mindset Gym is not life coaching, though, and it's not business coaching. A business coach will say, here, swipe these files. This is the ad copy that I used. This is the virtual assistants I use to write new ad copy. This is the system I use to train my sales team. Swipe these files. This is how to use my systems. A good business coach is going to do that. The problem is what worked for them in their business. Your business isn't exactly the same, right? Your personality is different. Your city's different. The people you attract into it are different. A life coach will say, oh, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think you should do? And the thing is, what you think you should do is kind of what has you in the situation to start with. We don't need more of that. But if you say wanted to run faster, or you wanted to be stronger or more flexible, and you need to go see a coach who specializes in that. By the way, nobody goes to the Olympics without a coach. If you're not at the Olympics, and at least in that level in your business, and you don't have a coach, there could be a connection. um, but if you go to, say, a strength coach or a speed coach, they don't say, what exercise do you think we should do today? No, they say, do 2 of these, do 3 of these, come back and see me tomorrow. And all you have to do is show up to the gym. That's it. When you show up and you do that motion, you feel the result in your body immediately. And the next day you have the evidence that you did it. You're sore, for crying out loud. And this is just a much more efficient way of growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Showing up is half the battle. I've heard that before. And, we can take a look and see where we're at today, but without that consistency, like you said, there is nothing in that, right? That it's showing up, like you said, and doing the things. So I love that you reiterated that. Totally love that. And so, what would you say? What would you say that some of the what would your best client be? Your
Best client. Yeah, I suppose this, is speaking candidly, there are people that do not do well at the gym. Those people tend to be sociopaths, and it like a true sociopath, the hardware in the brain, like their brain is fundamentally missing certain chemicals that make certain thought processes impossible. And in order for the mindset push-ups to work, you have to have the ability to feel, right? Because we are moving emotions around, we're moving colors and shapes and textures, we're moving all that energy around your body. Now let's move in a little bit from sociopath and to something a little bit more, I would say, socially flexible. Say somebody who is on the Asperger's, spectrum. This person has the chemicals and the hardware to make those networks, but they haven't had a lot of experience in their life thinking that way and feeling those things. And so for those people, it's a little bit harder for them to get traction, but they are able to do it. And I have seen some incredible transformations from people on that side. The general public, though, they kill it. Absolutely. I mean, you come in, do some mindset push-ups, you feel the difference in your body immediately. Holy moly. Sure, the most of the people at the Mindset Gym are entrepreneurs, because when an entrepreneur thinks at a higher level, their business grows instantly. And so they start to scale at the rate that it's really possible. But we've got stay-at-home moms. We've got stay-at-home moms that feel like life's calling them to step up to something bigger. Had this one lady, she was so frustrated because she knew life was calling her to something else, but she couldn't tell you what it was. And for her, that was embarrassing, because it's like somebody asking, what's your favorite flavor of ice cream? It seems like the kind of question you should just be able to answer. Well, she comes in, does the mindset push-ups, gets access to those parts of her brain and those networks, gets the clarity on what her zone of genius is, gets the clarity on what her true gift and service back to society is. Turns out that her gift is worth $10,000 an hour. Now, wow. The only people that make that kind of money are grifting politicians or public speakers. So let me tell you what she did. She had a knack, an ability to understand trends and data. So when she would stack demographic reports on a city, she would see demographic data from a different angle that would cause her to identify real estate investing opportunities that people in the city were missing, because she had a different perspective on it. So these are multi-million-dollar deals that she's putting hundreds of thousands of dollars in her pocket, profit after it's done, by leveraging her gift of looking at demographic trends and data. Had another lady. She is got 4 kids. They're 4 little kids, all under the age of 8 at this time. She's running a book publishing, like consulting, kind of helping authors get published, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. And she's a little frustrated that when she would come home, it felt like she didn't have the support and help that she needed. And she's communicating this to her spouse and all the ways that she knows how to communicate it. And I'm sure you know how well that goes. He was a great guy, by the way. Like, it wasn't that he wasn't willing to help. It's just he wasn't getting it in his head. It just, for whatever reason, comes to the mindset gym after experiencing how the mindset push-ups work. It tied some new networks in her head together where she realized there are certain ways of asking for something that take a fundamentally different path through the brain, because the
Right.
brain has to respond to the question in a different order that triggers different emotions. She began to communicate in those patterns. Not only did her husband hear her for the first time and understand really what she was saying for the first time, but in that conversation, they created 10 hours a week of free time for her to be present with her kids, not busy around them, busy with housework and cleaning and dinner and homework, and not busy, but present, spending time with her kids. This way of thinking that there are other ways to solve these problems and there are other ways to communicate, she brought back to work. And that created for her 30 free hours to be working creatively, steering her business and out of the weeds of operation, just because her brain was thinking at a higher level of how she solves those problems. Let's tell you one more story and then we'll go on. This lady is doing cookies. So very beautiful, beautiful works of art. I mean, her creativity with the cookie was insane, and they tasted like, I had one of her cookies and went, "Oh, this is what cookies are supposed to taste like." Unbelievable. Well, the thing is, she had huge demand, obviously, because they're so good. And she was working. This is going to sound insane. She was working 60 hours a week after her 9 to 5 job.
Oh my
On
gosh.
nights and weekends. Nights and weekends alone was 60 hours a week making these cookies. She comes to the mindset gym, does the mindset push-ups, feels the difference in her body, feels the clarity, feels the confidence, changes the way she operated her business. In that first year, she tripled her cookie income and she cut the production time in half, just because her brain was thinking at a higher level of how she did it.
That's amazing. Well, folks, if anything, number one, you can get your husband to actually hear you by speaking at a higher level and clearly communicating. That right there would be worth it right there. Number two, taking back those, 30 hours and being able to effectively use them somewhere else instead of being burnt out. I'm sure she had to be burnt out working 60 hours on top of her normal job, because I get that. But so that would be worth it right there to book an appointment right now with Jarrod. And where's the best place that you would love for people to connect with you, Jarrod?
Mindsetperformance.co, mindsetperformance.co. I would say don't take my word for any of this. Try it for yourself. See if you think it makes a difference for the work that you do.
Right. And so, yeah, because you said that correct me if I'm wrong, because I talked to a lot of people, but I think in the pre-interview you mentioned something about like there was different studies with different brain waves and everything like that too. I think you showed me like a chart or something like that is truly phenomenal. How your mindset gym works, and I mean, it's not just like you said. It's not just coaching. It's like actually getting in there and taking all of that, like you said, the trash and everything away and making you more effective. So absolutely go check out Jarrod at mindsetperformance.co for sure. And book your appointment today. If nothing, you have a healthier relationship with your spouse, if nothing else. And right there is worth every penny.
I'll give an example of what I mean by taking a different path through the brain. Women frequently are in the unenviable position of having to say things differently than they normally would in professional settings or to their spouse. And it just seems insane. Like, this is ridiculous. And it feels totally unfair. Why do I have to communicate this way, but you don't? And many people have heard this slightly misleading advice that it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's the tone of your voice. Okay, fine. Why do I have to communicate with this tone, but you don't? It's ridiculous, right? Here's what I want you to consider: that there's another level below tone, and that is order. It's not so much how you say it, but rather the order that you present the information, the structure, the grammatical structure of your sentence. This was discovered by Ellen Langer in the 1950s out at Stanford University. Actually, no, I think Ellen Langer was in the 80s or 90s. Anyway, so I'll give you an example of what I mean by the order of the sentence. I can say to you, I can be like, gosh, man, I'm super tired and I'm really stressed out right now. And gosh, man, there's so much going on. I've got all these dishes to wash and I don't know how I'm going to get any of these dishes done. There's just so many of them. I'm really stressed out about this. Because I have so much to do, would you be willing to take out the trash? I can make a request in that format. I can also make the same request in this format. Would you be willing to take out the trash? The reason I'm asking is because I'm so covered up with these dishes. I'm kind of stressed about it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them all done. Now, on the surface, it seems like I'm asking for the same thing. Will you take out the trash, right? Mm-hmm. But because of the structure of the request, it takes a different path through the brain. The brain has to process it in a different order, and that triggers different emotions. So there are key patterns. If you want the other person emotionally to be invested and say yes, there's patterns that create that. Has nothing to do with your tone of voice. There's patterns. If you need to say no, but you don't want to like cause a fight or make them upset or whatever, there's patterns that trigger that calm emotion in their brain. It has nothing to do with your tone of voice. If you have been avoiding a conversation because you're a human being and you just don't like conflict, fine. If you've been avoiding it for so long, now you can't even have a conversation because the negative energy is too high. There's a pattern that erases that negative energy so you can just talk like normal people. But these are patterns, and when your mind gets a feel for that order, then you're kind of off the hook with needing to say it a certain way, if you will, right? With a certain tone of voice.
I love that. Right. And the first way you said it sounds more like nagging. And when you hear nagging, anybody shuts off. So I love how you said that. Reframe it and learn how to reframe it. Definitely. The order of which you would normally have said it. I love that. Absolutely. Again, folks, go to the mindsetperformance.co and sign up right now. Walk, don't run. Get over there and have that healthier way of thinking and I would say feeling, because if you think clear, you're going to feel clear. Absolutely. All righty. Well, thank you so much to everybody that has joined us here. If you could leave with any last words, Jarrod, what would those last words be for our guest today?
Oh, man. If you're doing the work, you're falling behind. I would start there. If you're doing the work, you're falling behind. Well, how else is the work supposed to get done? If I'm not doing it, who's going to do it? Exactly. If you're doing it, no one else can do it. So instead of doing the work, how can you cause the work to be done? And this is leadership. This is thinking at a higher level about how we move through the world.
That's powerful. Cause and effect is instantly what came to my mind. Love that. Wow, that is powerful. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Jarrod. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here. I just want to give a special shout out and thank you to our sponsor for tonight's show, Be Oily with Bonnie, for all your doTERRA essential oil needs. Contact her at www.beoilywithbonnie.com. And again, next week we are on the road, so we will be in Arizona. So we will see you. Who knows where we'll be Wednesday night? We have people lined up to interview some professional NFL player, retired NFL players. So, and we'll be at a kids camp helping children, with different football things there, and a gala, which would be absolutely incredible, raising awareness and funds for Sold Out Foundation with Roman Gabriel III. So can't wait to see you all in Florida. Can't wait for the nice sunny weather. Here in Canada, it's been really exceptionally cold. And thank you to all of our guests for being here tonight. And again, thank you so much, Jarrod, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. With that, folks, see you same time, same channel next week, and bye for now.